はいはい、ということで、皆さんこんにちは、帯吉幸です。さあ、3月9日からずっと続いております。昨日から続いております。震災からちょうど2年経ちましたけどね、復興支援に向けての、復興応援に向けてのイベントが世界中で行われておりますが、復興応援ソング名もない絆から始まりましたこのプロジェクト名もない絆ユースト放送でも、今回もね、こういった、たくさんの世界中のイベントをね、この放送からねお届けしていきたいなというふうに思うんですが、まずですねちょっと早速ねこちらの方をね見ていただきたいんですが、ご覧いただけますかね。ちょっと待ってくださいよ。よいしょと、はい、出ました。これは画面を大きくするのはどうしたらこれかな。よいしょ。はい、ご覧いただけますでしょうか。よいしょ。音がちょっと小さいのかな。今リハーサル中ですかね。はい、こちらはですねよいしょ、音を大きくしよう。はい、聞こえますか。ちょっと私の声が大きいんですかね。ちょっと全体にバランス取りましょう。はい、こちらでどうですかね。よいしょ。はい、聞こえますかね。こちらはですね、後ろに書いてありますが、東北復興、2周年記念祭というふうに書いておりますが、まさにですね、今、シドニーで行われております、行われようとしております、東北復興、2周年記念祭のですね、模様をこちら東京の、私のね、スタジオからお届けしたいなというふうに思っております。このイベント自体はですね、これ見ていただくと分かるんですが、左上のところにですね、ユーストリームとこう書いてありますね。ですからこれ実はユーストリームの放送を、ユーストリームがの放送を実際もうしてるんですね。で、そのユーストリームの放送をさらに放送してるというね、ダブル放送になっておりまして、もし画面がですね、ちょっと見づらいなという方、ね、ちょっとこう、絵がね、あんまり綺麗でないなと思われた方はですね、ぜひ、こちらのね、元ネタって言ったら変ですけど、元のソースの方から、見ていただければなというふうに思っております。よいしょ。よいしょ。ちょっと待ってくださいね。よいしょ。ちょっと私もね、いろんなことを同時進行にやっておりますが、よいしょ。はい。あ、今日はね、この方も歌ってくださるんですね。はい、今ちょうどリハーサル中ということでね、よいしょ、よいしょ。はい、ちょうど、ね、このリハーサル中ということで、歌を歌ってくださっております。ちょっとこちらのね、方のリハーサルを聞きつつ、ちょこっと、はい、このね、イベントについてのちょっと説明をね、解説させていただきたいなというふうに思っておりますが、まずですね、よっこいしょと、はい、はい、はい、はい、はい、よっこいしょ、よっこいしょ、よいしょ、はい、よいしょ、よいしょ、はい、何をよいしょよいしょやってたかというとですね、ホームページを今開いてたんですけど、東日本大震災、2周年記念祭 Face to Face with 福島オーストラリアツアーということで、こちらのね、放送 URL をね、皆さんにも、お知らせしたいと思いますので、今ここにね、ちょっと、Twitter の方に貼りますのでね、後でね、私の帯吉行で検索していただくと Twitter がね、出てきますので、Twitter をお持ちの方はね、検索していただくと、この今日の、今からね放送する、記念祭の、模様がね、どこのチャンネルなのかというのが分かりますね。はい。今とりあえず放送ができたぞということで、一回向こうのチャンネルは、クローズになりましたかね。はい。では、ちょっとこちらのイベントね、ちょっとお話をしたいと思うんですが、よいしょ。はい。この、イベントですね、概略をちょっとお知らせすると、よいしょ。おー、ちょっとでかい音になって、でっかいな、この BGM が。はい、ちょっと小さくしましょうね。よいしょ、よいしょ、よいしょ、急げ急げ。今画面があっち行ったりこっち行ったりしてるんですね、私のパソコンの中でね。よいしょ、よいしょ、よいしょ、よいしょ、よいしょ、よいしょ、よいしょ。はい、来ました。は はい、こちらの画面見ていただきたいと思います。はい。やっと出た。東日本大震災2周年復興記念祭フェイストゥフェイス with 福島ということで、難しい英語は私はちょっとわかりませんが、シドニーで開催されておりまして、こちらに書いてありますシドニー時間のですね、夕方5時から7時までの2時間ですから、日本時間の、3時から、今のまさにね3時2分ですけど、今から3時から、5時まで皆さんお付き合いいただければなというふうに思っております。こちらのですねイベント、内容はですねアボリジニ、伝統記念祭というところから始まりますけど、はい、おっと早速連絡来ますね。準備ができたら連絡しますということで、はい、連絡いただきましたね。これねどうなってるかっていうとね、どうなってるかっていうと、私のノートパソコンにユーストリームを映し出しまして、それをデスクトップの PC にこうつなげまして、そこからこのユーストリームの放送をねしてるんですが、それと同時にそのユーストリームの放送をしつつ Facebook でとツイッターじゃないな Facebook とあと Skype でずっとこうやり取りして、今から行きますよとかねいうのをね、オーストラリアのシドニーとねリアルタイムでやり取りしてるって、時差がないんですねこれね。すごいね今のインターネットってね本当にびっくりしますけどね。はい、じゃあ早速ですねちょっとね今のこの画面を見ていただきつつ、よいしょ、はい、私の方ではですね了解しましたというふうに連絡入れましょう。了解、しましたと。はい、こちらはもう放送スタートしてますというふうに書きましょうかね。はい、こちらはすでに放送スタートしておりますので、いつでも OK ですと。はい。
真剣ゼミのライブ授業。
わあ、なんか来ました。なんでしょうこの音は。これなんでしょうね。
毎週自宅で授業が受けられる。
図をイメージできるように。
はい。ですね、これは何かというとですね、オーストラリアのユーストリーム、まあ、こう最近のユーストリームみんなそうですけど、ユーストリームではですね、あれなんですね、CM が入りますからね、その CM が思いっきり今、バーンと入ってきたんですね。ですから、なんかまるでこの、なんかこう真剣ゼミかな、なんですかね、今のね、まずこの名もない絆のスポンサーがその番組なんじゃないか、そのね、企業さんなんじゃないかっていうぐらいな感じでしたけどね。はい。じゃあね、改めましてちょっとね、話を戻しまして、こちらのね、今日の記念祭のお話に戻りたいと思いますが、こちらの記念祭ね、こちら書いておりますが、今からね、もうまさに、3時になりましたからね、もうスタートすると思いますが、ですね、アボリジニの、アボリジニ伝統、開幕儀式から始まりまして、お経と1分間の黙祷ということで、こちらね、もしお手すきの方は一緒にね黙祷していただければというふうに思っておりますが、そしてオーストラリア災害レスキュー隊の表彰式、そして雅楽の演奏、福島の現地報告、震災関連の写真展示と、和太鼓の演奏、よさこいソーラン、折り紙アーティストによるパフォーマンスなどなど、非常に、たくさん、内容豊かに、てんこ盛りでね、行っていくということになっておりますね。はい、そろそろですかね。あ、そろそろ来ましたね。はい、じゃあちょっと早速現地の模様をお届けできるかなと思いますが、これはまだリハーサルですかね。ベースの方がねベースを置いたりしておりますけどね。はい、リハーサルかもしれませんね。はい、この、今見ていただいている映像はですね、現地のシドニーでね、今回のイベントの、スタッフで大活躍されております中村さんという方がね、このイベントをこれね iPad か iPhone かなんですよね。私もヘビー Mac ユーザーですからね、Mac 大活躍だなと思いますがね、その方の iPad の放送がこうやってね世界に流れちゃうっていうすごい時代になりましたね。はいね、今現地の方では、着々と、準備の方が進んでいるようですけどもね。はい。で、今回のこのイベントね、どういう経緯かという話をね、ちょっとね、させていただこうと思うんですが、よいしょ。はい。このイベントですね、私たちが毎月行っております、復興応援ユースト 番組ね、この今見ていただいているこの番組ですけどね、こちらで常に、スカイプでね、レギュラー出演していただいています、シドニーのさとみさん、ね、寺尾さとみさんですけどね、そのさとみさんが、このイベントにもね、参加されているということで、ぜひね、この被災地の応援しているね、声がね、少しでも被災地の方、に届くようにということで、この番組も中継しましょうという話になっておりますね。ちなみにですね、昨日そのさとみさんがですね、さとみさんとまたね、さとみさんたちのまたグループが、この復興イベントをね、行ってるわけですけど、その、時のね YouTube もね、動画にアップしておりますので、ちょっとね、まだ、向こうがスタートしてないようですから、そちらの方もね、ご紹介していこうかなというふうに思うんですが、よいしょ、どれだろうな、はい、ちょっとね、動画の方見ていただきたいと思いますが、はい、よいしょ。昨日はですね、ツルバトルという、グループがあり、さとみさんがね、活動しているグループがありますけども、よいしょ、はい、
政治家を動かして頑張っていきたいと思います。
はい、ありがとうございます。このね、ツルバトルというイベント、がありまして、ツルバトルというね、グループがありまして、そのツルバトルの皆さんとが、日本を考えるセミナーということで、そのセミナーを開催して、被災地のことについてね、いろいろお話をしてくださったわけですけどね。これもまさに、シドニーと東京とをつないでのね、イベントになりますけど、ちょっと見てください、こちらね。私、この後ちょっとベラベラ喋ってますけど、これはユーストリームのリスナー、はい、これちょっと前にしましょうかね。この今ね、右側に女性の方が映ってらっしゃいますけど、これね、ぜひ素晴らしい、オーストラリアの食肉、の協会の、会長さん、在日の会長さんということで、メラニーさんですけどね、その方のスピーチも行われたということでね、ちょっとね、よいしょ。はい、日本の皆さんにコメントをいただきますので、ね、ちょっとね、コメント流れるかな、多分ね、よいしょ、出るかな、出るかな。いや、ユーストリームの放送スタートできておりますので、はい、ありがとうございます。イベント前に何かメラニーさん、何か皆さんにメッセージなどありますか？
オーストラリアでは、こういった形で2年経っても一生懸命東北の支援、またはどのようにこれからまたしていくかということについて一生懸命やってるのを、その姿を東京から見ると本当に嬉しいとともに、日本の皆様と一緒にその気持ちをもう一度東北に向けて、政治家を動かして頑張っていきたいと思います。
ありがとうございます。じゃあ、私この後ちょっとベラベラ喋ってますけど、これはユーストリームのリスナーの方に向けて喋ってますので、あまり気にしないでおいてください。
はい、すみません、ありがとうございます。
はい、という感じでね、
こちらの準備は大丈夫です。
という感じで昨日はね放送していったわけですけどね、これYouTube の方でね、日本を考えるセミナーシリーズということで検索していただくと、出てまいりますのでね、ぜひ検索していただきたいのと、あと私のブログにも、紹介しておりますので、よく、ご覧になっていただきたいと思います。さあ、現地の模様はいかがでしょうか。ですね、はい。現地の模様をちょっとね、見てみたいんですが、来てるかな、はい、いかがでしょうか。CM 入りますね。CM が入りますので、CM 来てますね。はい。どうなるんだろう。どうなるんでしょう。
販売累計
でかい音でした。さあ、来ましたかね。そろそろだと思うんですが、中継は動いてるようですね。なんといってもね、シドニーですからね、シドニーと東京ですからね、なかなか、回線の問題もあってね、難しいわけですけどね、もう一回リロードしてみましょうか。はい。さあ、どうですかね。さあどうですかね。ちょっと BGM なんかちょっと軽くかけておこうかな。はい、どうですかね。まだみたいな感じですかね。 一応ライブは始まってるみたいですけどね。あ、また CM 来ますよ。皆さん、音でっかいですからね。あ、でっかいでっかい。
販売累計。
あ、でっかいでっかい。そうか、こういう時はメインのボリューム下げればいいんだな。はい、どうですかね。はい、ちょっとこのまま待ってみましょうか。はい。ね、向こうも一生懸命準備をしてると思いますんでね、ちょっと待ちたいと思いますけどね。あ、今日私ここに照明がないから、なんか顔暗いな。顔暗い時は顔の表情だけ明るくしておきましょうかね。変な人になってますけどね。はい。はいね。あとですね、実際今日はですね、いろんなところでの復興イベントあって、本当はですね、あそこの、日本でもいくつかね、どこだっけな、イベントが開催されていてですね、そちらの方もご紹介できればというふうに思ったんですが、ちょっとね、まだね、こちらの方にうまく、放送がつながってないみたいなんでね、残念ながらちょっとね、まだ中継ができないんですけどね。はい、どうですかね。もう一回見てみましょうね。はい、おっとっとっと、よいしょ。今こちら見たところ、一回放送が切れてるみたいですね。はい、今準備中なんでしょうね。はい、準備中ということでね。そしたらですね、その間に、そしたら、どうしようかな。あっち見てもらおうかな。はい。ユーストリームでですね、復興に関する、イベント、ね、何か行ってないかなということで、ちょっと私も調べたんですが、実はですね、ユーストリームの放送で、そういったね、復興のイベントをね、流してるところが、ほとんどなかったというね、すごいびっくりしたんですけどね、唯一ですね、福島民放さん、ね、IWJ というね、中継市民チャンネルと、福島チャンネル3というところが、ありまして、これね、検索だと IWJ、アンダーバー、福島3と、3ですね。というふうに検索していただくと出ますが、こちらのね、IWJ というのはね、インディペンデントウェブジャーナルという、団体だそうですけど、そちらに、賛同して集まった方々が市民中継をして、行きましょうということで、まあ、福島に関するね、ことについてのシンポジウムを行っているということで、こちらね、ちょっとね、ちょうどね、原発反対についてのね、ことで、中継を流していらっしゃいますね。ちょっとこれ聞けますかね。ね、これまさに、ちょっとね、これ動画がね、多分ね、電波なんだと思うんですけどね、動画が動いていないんですが、皆さんがね、デモをされているところがね、こちらでご覧になっていただけるんじゃないかなというふうに思っております。ね、はい、おっとっと。はいねそういった活動をされている、番組がありましたね。他にもですね、実はこういう放送をやってますよとか、こういう動画をね見つけましたみたいな方いらっしゃいましたら、ぜひね、ご一報いただければなというふうに思っております。私もちょいちょい探してるんですけど、なかなかね、拾いきれない部分がたくさんありますのでね、ぜひ、ご協力いただければなというふうに思っております。はい。じゃあ、まだね、向こうの方のあれも動いてないようなので、そしたらですね、昨日のツルバトルのイベントで、後半に、お話しされました、スティーブさんの、セッションをね、ちょっとね、皆さんに見ていただければなというふうに思ってます。じゃあ、ちょっと待ってくださいね。スティーブさん。ちょっと探しましょうね。この辺でしょうかね。よいしょ。よいしょ、この辺ですかね。おっと、真剣ゼミまだ見ました。真剣ゼミが来たということは、そろそろですかね、これね、真剣ゼミさん来たってことは。よいしょ。あ、これね、オンラインになってますよ、オンラインに。
毎週自宅で授業が受けられる。
よいしょ。
図をイメージできるようにするためには、
はい、どうやらですね、無事オンラインになってきておりますので、そろそろ、向こうがつながってきたんじゃないかなというふうに思います。 ですね、ちょっとこちらをちょっと見ながら行ってみましょうか。はい、こちらじゃあさっきの止めまして、はい、おー、スティーブさんのやつね、昨日のスティーブさんのやつですね。よいしょ。あ、こちらですね、さとみさんのチャンネルの方で放送が始まったようですから、中継見ていただきたいと思います。
体験されるでしょう。しかし、福島県では今後長期にわたり、いつ解決のめどがつくかわからない放射能という問題に立ち向かっていかなければなりません。このような東北被災地すべての人たちに向けてのエールを送るため、昨年に引き続き、今年もシドニーにおいて震災復興を願う記念祭を開催いたします。まずご紹介いたしますのは、本日のスペシャルゲスト、福島県飯舘村の酪農理事、長谷川さんです。この2年間、福島の飯舘村でご経験されたことをお話ししてくださいます。ではよろしくお願いいたします。
はい、無事ね、放送がスタートしましたね。はい、じゃあぜひね、シドニーからの、シドニーからのイベントね、ぜひご覧になってください。じゃあそのまま続けて放送していきます。
March the 11th will mark 2 years since the massive earthquake and the tsunami hit the northeastern coast of Tohoku, killing more than 15,000 people. People like you and I, mothers, fathers, children, grandparents, their homes, schools, workshops, washed away and destroyed in moments. Today, in Tohoku, the word kizuna, which in English means bond, has come to symbolize the spirit of those still living in the devastated areas. We'd like to support them as they support one another through the ongoing catastrophe. While many of the towns destroyed are rebuilt, large areas of land in Fukushima remain no-go zones. It is part of today's ceremony to remember that for many communities, time has stood still with a resolution yet to be found. I am delighted to introduce to you today our special guest, a dairy farmer from Fukushima, who is the chairman of the Fukushima Dairy Farmers Union. He had traveled all the way from Fukushima to talk with you today. Please listen to his true account of the ongoing Fukushima nuclear disaster. Please welcome Hasegwa Kenichi.
どうも、こんにちは。
こんにちは。
私は今ほど紹介がありましたように、福島県は飯舘村、今や飯舘村は世界的にも有名な村になっていますけれども、
販売累計
本日はよろしくお願いをいたします。
Good evening. My name is Kenichi Hasegwa. I'm from Idate Village, now world famous village.
そしてですね、私は日本はもとより世界にも今歩いております。というのは、原発の事故、そしてその後に裏の世界でどういうことがあったのか、表の部分は報道されます。裏の世界、そういうものを私は今発信をしております。そして今、日本では非常に不可解なことが起きている。そういうものも含めてお話をしていきたいと思います。
I travel not only Japan but across the world, and this is because I want to talk the message about the nuclear issues, but behind the scenes, and there's something incomprehensible going on. That's what I'm going to talk tonight.
まずですね、我々の住む飯舘村、どこにあったのかと、申しますと、ここですね。
This is the 飯舘 village.
青いところ。そして、
The blue part is 飯舘 village.
原発がここです。
That's the Fukushima nuclear power plant.
飯舘村で一番近いところ、この地点で直線距離で約30キロです。
The nearest part of the village from Fukushima plant is about 30 kilometers.
一番遠いところ、この地区ですね。これが私の住む前田という地区。ここで45キロ離れています。
The furthest part is called Maida, which is about 40
そして、
kilometers from the that's where I'm from.
飯舘村からプルトニウム、ストロンチウムが検出されたという報道がなされました。飯舘村はそういうストロンチウムがプルトニウムにまで汚染されてしまったんだなと、そういう思いがします。
There's a news report that plutonium or strontium was discovered in the village. And the village is contaminated.
そして現在、福島県ではこの全域のみならず、この近隣の市町村においても、牛の餌、牧草の摂取制限がざーっとかかっております。
Across this Fukushima area, there's now a restriction on feeding the cows because of contaminated feed.
そして飯舘村、どんな村だったのかと申しますと、非常に美しい村ということが言えると思います。これが私の住む飯舘村です。
I want to show how beautiful village Iitate village was. This is my village.
そしてこんな村に放射能が来てきたわけです。3月14日には3号機が大爆発を起こしました。
And this beautiful village, radioactive substance fell. On March 14th, the new Fukushima Daiichi Unit 3 exploded.
そしてその後、飯舘村の一部を含む30キロ圏内に屋内退避の指示が出たんです。
And including that village, there's an order to stay indoors within 30 kilometers radius.
しかし我々は、飯舘村民は、それでもあまりにも距離が離れているために、放射能が飯舘村に来るとは誰も思っていなかったんです。
But the villagers from Iitate thought because we are so far away, none of us thought that we are have a radioactive fallout in Iitate village.
国では万が一のことを考えて、そして屋内退避の指示を出したんだろうなと、そういう思いをしていたんですけども、その時にはすでに放射能は飯舘村にもう来ていたんですね。
We thought that the government just as a precaution ordered to stay indoors because we thought we were still too far away. But at that time, radioactive substance was already upon us.
そしてこの放射能の爆発の後、私は飯舘村の対策本部に行きました。その結果、飯舘の放射能すごいことになっている。40マイクロシベルになっているという話を聞きました。
After the explosion, I went to the Iitate village office and I heard that there's something unbelievable happening. That 40 microsievert per hour was recorded.
そしてですね、その中で今度は村の方からはこのマイクロシーベルト、40マイクロシーベルトを口外しないでくださいという指令も出されました。
And I was told by the village authority that not to tell other people about the fact that they recorded 40 microsievert per hour.
しかし私はそんなことは構わない。その部屋を出て、私は地区の区長もやっています。そのために 私の地区には5つの班がそこにすぐ電話連絡をしました。今、放射能とんでもないことになっている。明日夕方全員集まれ。そういう指令を出しました。
But I couldn't keep it secret because it's so serious. And I'm actually the leader of the local area. So I called and also uncoordinated 5 subgroups of his neighborhood. So I called all the leaders to have a meeting, emergency meeting on the following day.
3月15日、夕方6時半、放射能のことでとんでもないことになっている。緊急集会だということで、みんな地区の人たちは集まってきました。しかし、その時が最も放射能の高かった時なんです。
On March 15th, 6:30 p.m., I called a meeting, emergency meeting, and all the villagers came to the meeting. However, at the very that time was the highest level of radiation falling upon us.
そしてその時に雨が降って後に雪になったんです。そしてその私の開いた緊急集会が終わる頃には約5センチくらいの雪が積もったんです。
And at the time of the meeting, it was raining, and then later it turned into snow. And by the time the meeting ended, there was 5 centimeters of snowfall.
そしてその雨、雪によって放射能は飯舘村に落とされたわけですね。
And with this rain and snow, radioactive substance, the radioactive flora fell on the ground of the village.
そして私はその部落の人たち、地区の人たちを集めた集会の中で今まで私が知れた情報をすべてぶちまけた。今、飯舘村は放射線とんでもないことになっているぞ。だから、とにかく外には出るなよ。そして、子供は絶対出すな。大人でもどうしても出なくちゃならないときには、必ずマスクしろよ。肌露出するのよ。そして、外出から帰ったら、体の玄関先に服は脱いじゃえ。体きれいに洗えよ。そういう指令をどんどん出します。
At the meeting, I told my neighbors who gathered that there's something unbelievable going on. And I ordered, I advised the neighbors that to stay indoors as much as possible unless absolutely necessary. Keep your children inside, put on a mask, and don't expose your skin. And as soon as you come home from outside, shake off and take off your clothes and wash your hands.
そしてあとは外にある野菜とか絶対食べてダメだ。あとは換気扇を回してダメだよ。洗濯物を外に干すなよ。そういう指示を出しました。これは地区の人たちはしれっと守ってくれていることです。
Don't eat vegetables from outside. Don't use a fan. And also do not hang laundry outside. Fortunately, the villagers followed my advice.
そしてこのデータ、よくご覧ください。原発はここです。飯舘村はここです。放射能はまともに飯舘に向かっていってるんです。このデータは当初からスピーディーというデータは動いていました。ところが国によってこのデータが隠蔽され、さらに福島県にもこのデータは届いていました。それが福島県によって隠蔽されたんです。そして我々は無用な被爆をしたということになります。
This data was recorded by the government system called SPEED, and the Japanese government actually didn't have the data at the time, but they hid the information from us. Not only that, Japanese government passed the information to Fukushima Prefecture government, but Fukushima Prefecture government also hid the information from us. As a result, we were exposed to unnecessary radiation.
そしてこのデータ、ちょっと見づらいんですけども、飯舘村はこのようになっています。
This is a Iitate village.
このデータはアメリカ軍が飯舘村の上空を無人偵察衛星を飛ばしました。そして実測のデータ、このデータも 日本国にも当初からもたらされました。これが隠蔽されたんです。
This data was actually taken by U.S. military, U.S. Navy using drone. And the U.S. government actually passed the data to Japanese government, but this information was also hidden from us.
そしてこれはですね、当初3月19日、20日と飯舘村の希望する人は避難をしてくださいというの希望する人は栃木県の鹿沼市にそういうことを言われていますけれども、あまり皆住民は避難をしなかった。
On March 19th and 20th, it was advised only those who wish to evacuate or was to evacuate, and those went to evacuate to Kanuma city in Tochigi Prefecture, which is actually south of the Fukushima Prefecture. Anyway, not many people applied because it's only for voluntary.
そして今度はですね、飯舘村の井戸水、水道水からここですね、1000ベクレル近い放射性要素が検出されましたと言われました。そして我々は水道水の摂取制限がかかったわけです。ところがすでに遅かった。我々はその水を飲んで、その水でご飯を炊いて食べて風呂に入っていたんです。対応の遅さというのが道路されるであろうと思います。
This is a data taken for the radiation level of the water, the drinking water. And at the point of March 20th, it was recorded around 1,000 becquerel. However, advice came a little bit too late because we have already drunk that water. We cooked the rice with that water, and we bathed with that water.
そしてですね、今、飯舘村の放射線量というものが全国に発信されています。マスメディアによって。それは今、0.7 マイクロシーベルトぐらいで発信されています。
Now that the radiation level is recorded, monitored and recorded and reported across the country by mass media, and according to the media, right now the radiation level in each village is around 0.7 microsievert per hour.
しかしですね、実際にはだいたい 3.5 マイクロから4マイクロシーベルト今実際にあるんです。
However, in reality, the actual radiation level is 3.5 to 4 microsieverts per hour.
国では今データを取っているモニタリングポストはこの地区にあります。このところ一番ガンマイというところ。ここにですね、あの地震の後に自衛隊の人たちがやってきたんです。そしてそこのこの場所だけを徹底的に除染をやったんです。下の土まで入れ替えをしちゃった。そして強制的に線量を下げられたんです。それが今公表されています。
The disclosed data has been monitored at the place of Ichiban Kamae. However, this place was actually decontaminated by the Japanese Self-Defense Force thoroughly by scraping off the soil and completely decontaminated to lower the radiation level.
そしてですね、先ほどの避難、希望する人は避難をしてくださいと言われたんですけども、先ほども言ったように、あまりみんな避難しなかった。というのは、放射能というものは、目には見えない、匂いもない、体もなんともなかった。だから避難をしなかった。そしてそれと同時に、今度は国から、県から、偉い大学の先生方がたくさん飯舘村に入ってきたんです。
When initially the government advertised that only those who wish to evacuate can evacuate, not many people evacuated. It's partly because you can't see radiation, you can't smell radiation, and your body is fine, you don't feel anything wrong. And then on top of that, Japanese government, national government, and prefecture government it started bringing in the scientists and academics.
そして我々は大きな村の体育館とか集会所に集められて安全説法をされました。飯舘村の皆さん大丈夫ですよ、安全ですよ、何の心配もありませんですよということを立て続けに言われたんです。それによって飯舘の村民はみんな普通の生活に戻っていっちゃったんです。
So we were called to a meeting held at the town hall and all the halls across the village. And then they held a so-called safety meeting. And those academic and visitors keep telling us that it's okay, there's nothing wrong, it's safe. So people started thinking it's okay and went back to try to go back to normal lifestyle.
そしてですね、今度は3月の末には日本の京都大学の今中哲司助教授が飯舘村にやってきた。そして彼は飯舘村の占領をつぶさに調べたんです。
At the end of March, a professor Imanaka from Kyoto University came to Itate village, and he did a thorough monitoring across the Itate village on radiation level.
そしてですね、そのデータを持って彼はこういうことを言った。恐ろしいことだ。こんな線量の高いところに人が住んでいるなんて信じられない。彼はこういうことを言って、このデータを持って我々の村の村長さんのもとに行ったんです。
Professor Imanaka monitored the data, and he said that there's very scary, unbelievable. It's unbelievable that people are still living in the area with that high radiation level. And he brought the data he collected to the mayor of the Itate village.
そして彼はそのデータで飯舘村は危ないよ、すぐに避難するべきだということを進言しました。ところがそれに対して村長さんはこのデータ絶対公表しないでください。そしてこの占領を浴びながら生活することはできませんか。涙を流しながら迫ったと彼は言う。
Professor Imanaka advised that it is very dangerous and people should immediately evacuate. However, the mayor of the village said that he cannot evacuate the people, and instead, with tears, he asked, "Is there any way to keep living in this village under this radiation level?"
ですからそういうことによって我々村人の避難はどんどん遅れていったんです。
So this further delayed the evacuation of the villagers.
でこれはいよいよ計画的避難設定されたんですけども、その1日前にはやはり大学の先生が来て飯舘村は大丈夫ですよ、安心ですよって言われました。その次の日、危ないから避難してください。こういう状況になったんですね。
Well, eventually there's an order for the evacuation for the people within 20-kilometer radius. However, the day before this plan, the evacuation plan was announced, another different academic was brought to the village, and he said it's safe, it's okay, it's okay. But the very next day, the evacuation plan was announced.
これは私は毎日父を絞る酪農家ですから、絞っては捨てを続けていたいようです。
I'm a dairy farmer, so I collect milk every day. However, I have to dump milk, collect milk and dump milk every day.
そして我々飯舘の酪農家は、飯舘村は計画的避難の区域に入ったのだから、そこで牛は飼ってはダメですよと言われたんです。そして牛は移動してもダメ。そして人間は避難しなさい。こういうことを言われたんですね。
Because we're living in an evacuation area, we were told that we cannot keep our cows. However, and we cannot move the cows. However, people have to evacuate.
我々はどうしようもなかった。そうすると県からこういうことを言われた。 飯舘村の牛2頭を土地してください。その肉から放射性物質が検出されなければ、飯舘村の酪農家の牛、親牛全部、土地してもいいですよ。ということよ。我々はそこに行くしかなかった。
So we didn't have a choice, we didn't know what to do. And then government advised that you slaughter 2 cows. And if there's no radiation detected from these 2 slaughtered cows, then you can slaughter all the cows for as a meat distribution.
この映像は私のうちのところです。私の牛が土地区に連れて行かれる時の映像です。
This is the photo of my farm, and this is the photo of when our cows are taken away for slaughtering.
彼女は酪農家の奥さんです。家族と同じ牛が連れて行かれる。トラックを、牛が積まれて行くトラックを追いかけた。ごめんね、ごめんねって追いかけたんです。
She's my wife, farmer's wife. And for her, the cows are like a family member. And when my cows were taken away for slaughtering, she stayed by the truck. And she cried and she kept saying, I'm sorry, and she chased the truck.
そして彼は東京生まれの新潟育ち、酪農がやりたくて飯舘村に土地を求めた。ちょうど10年目、牛を連れて行かれた。男たちに泣いてます。
He's a young farmer. He's originally from Tokyo. Tokyo and studied Niigata. He was born in Tokyo and grown up in Niigata. He really wanted to be a farmer. He was born in Tokyo and grown up in Niigata. And he really wanted to be a farmer. So he finally got his slot in the village. And after 10 years, he had to abandon his farm.
私は酪農家の代表として全てに立ち会った。なんでこんなことになっちゃったんだ。この世の中どうなっているんだ。そういう思いでいっぱいでした。
As a representative farmer, I participated in all the meetings with them. And I just kept asking, why? How could this happen to us?
そしてついに私の最も恐れていたことが起きたんです。飯舘村ではなかった隣の相馬市、酪農家、私の友人です。原発さえなければというメッセージを残して行ってしまったんです。
And the worst thing that would happen. It happened in Soma city, which is right next to Iitate village. And he was my friend. He left a note saying that if only there's no nuclear power, and he killed himself.
ここにあります。残った酪農家は原発に負けないで頑張ってください。こういうメッセージを残して彼は旅立ってしまいました。
This is actually his death note on the wall, and he left a message telling all the remaining fellow farmers to survive without being defeated by nuclear power.
そんな中でですね、我々今、飯舘村民はこのようにチャンバーをまとって戦争を見守りたい。自分たちのふるさとは自分で守るということで、今24時間体制でパトロールを今はやっています。
Although we were evacuated to protect our village, we patrol our village on a voluntary basis.
これが今の飯舘村ですね。
This is the current Iitate village.
そして今、私はここの仮設住宅に私と妻とあと私の両親と4人で今はここで暮らしています。
And this is my temporary housing, and where I live with my wife and my parents. 4 of us live in this temporary shelter.
そしてこの今出ましたけども、非常にショッキングな映像が出ます。これは20キロ圏内の私の友達、酪農家の牛の状況です。
there will be a shocking photo coming out. This is the farm, my friend's farm within 20 kilometers area.
牛が餓死しています。
All these cows are stopped to death.
この部分をよくご覧ください。
Please look at those mud area in the middle.
これは豚の足跡なんです。
These are footsteps of the pigs.
餓死した牛を豚が食ってるんです。
The pigs ate the cow, diseased cow.
地球の裏側の方の話じゃないんですよ。今回の原発の事故によって今日本の福島県で実際に起きたことなんです。よーく頭に入れておいていただきたいと思います。
This is not the story that happened on the other side of the planet or other planet. This happened on my village. And please remember what happened with this image.
この映像は除染、モデル事業の除染の映像。これがモニタリングポストもこのように同じことをやって強制的に下げられたんですね。
This is a photo of decontamination, the work. And by doing this kind of work, they forced to lower the radiation level only in the selected areas.
そして今除染がまさに行われようとしておりますけども、今国では除染の方法がわからない。いろいろなモデル事業をやった。でも効果的な方法、手法がまだ確立されていないんです。
Government tried all various kinds of a trial on the decontamination method, but the reality is there's no effective way of decontamination.
そしてそんな中でもですね、このようにこれはモニタリングポストの数字です。
This is the data of the monitoring post set up by the government.
下のこの部分、これは私が実測をした数字です。
The top figure is the data by the monitoring post, and the bottom data is actually dosimeter of my own dosimeter.
このように国でやっている部分と実測とこのように数字が違うわけです。
There's a discrepancy between the government facility, the monitoring post data, and my own measurement.
ここも同じです。
Same. There's also discrepancy here.
そして最後になりますけどもね、今飯舘村では除染をして戻るんだ、帰るんだ、まっしぐらに進んでいます。それは大いに良いこと、結構なことなんです。ただ私はその点においてはそういう帰りたいという思いに過ぎないと私は思います。
Currently, there's a massive campaign of decontamination in order for villagers to be able to go back, which is good, but in reality, it's just wishful thinking, I think.
そして今、行政では今度はゴミにシーベルト。飯舘村はゴミにシーベルトを目指すんですよ。こういうことを言ってきました。それに対して日本国では1ミリを長期的に目指します。年間の追加被爆線量です。それに対して飯舘村は5ミリです。そうするとこういうことが起きた。国では1ミリって言ってんだが、飯舘村は5ミリって言ってるわけだ。じゃあ飯舘村に合わせますよと。とりあえず飯舘村は5ミリにしましょう。国でこういうことをやるんだ。
Now that the village officials said that let's aim the cumulative radiation level per year to 5 millisieverts per year. However, Japanese government guideline is actually 1 millisievert per year. So there's a discrepancy. So what's happening right now is that, well, if the Itate village says 5 millisievert is okay, then instead of 1 millisievert, why not take 5 millisievert for Itate village?
そしてこの5ミリという数字。26年前に爆発したチェルノブイリ、 あそこにチェルノブイリ法という法律ができました。その基準を見ると、5ミリという数字は移住の事務の行い、そして日本では病院の放射能管理区域なんです。そういうところに今、飯舘村は目指そうとしてるんですから。ここから私は対立をしています。
If you look at the 5 million sea level, the number of 5 million sea level, in case of Chernobyl, 5 million sea level is actually the level for the compulsory evacuation. And also, under Japanese regulation, this is the medical radioactive control area. However, at Iitate village, 5 million sea level is currently a goal in people to bring people back. And I'm strongly opposing this level.
そして私は行政に対してはごめんなさい、除染という、これは当たり前のこと、みんなで戻りたいというのは、そういう思いであって、現実は違うよということを言っています。ですから、現実をよくわきまえて、踏まえて、最悪の時には村を離れるということも、一つの手法として考えていかなければならないぞと、こういうことを私は申し上げております。なかなかその方向には今のところ舵は切られていないということが言えるんだろうなと思います。時間もになりましたので、この辺で終わりたいと思いますけれども、一つ飯舘村のためにご支援をよろしくお願いをしたいと思います。本日はどうもありがとうございます。
Maybe short, but right now, what government the village authority is saying is that they're doing a decontamination. But for him, decontamination, of course, you gotta do it. You gotta do it because people want to come back, and people are entitled to feel so to want to come back. But you have to be more realistic. You have to think about, in the worst case, an option. We have to abandon. We have to all evacuate and abandon. That's my position. However, the village authority are not taking my argument, and I keep continuing to fight this issue. And I need your strong support. And please remember my story and the experience in Iitate village. Thank you for listening to my story tonight.
Thank you very much for the illuminating insight into what it must be like over the last few years by Hasegwa Kenichi. He has written a book which will be available. I'd also like to make a note for Tomohiro Matsuoka, who was the translator. I think we should give him a round of applause. He's accompanying the tour around Australia. He's from Melbourne, and he's from Melbourne Japanese for Peace organisation. He is actually an investment analyst specialising in socially responsible investment. And I would like to lift a quote from his own words. He's a citizen of Australia and Japan, have a moral obligation to stop fueling ongoing and future nuclear disasters. So thank you very much for that. Okay, could I just have a little note to make sure all phones are switched off, please? Thank you very much. I'm going to invite our next guest speaker, Peter Watts. He is an Arabana man living in Adelaide, South Australia. He's come all the way to talk with you today. The water for Olympic Dam, which is a uranium mine in South Australia, is taken from his country. So this whole subject is very close to his heart. Peter is also the co-chair of the Australian Nuclear Free Alliance. A big hand for Peter Watts.
福島県飯舘村から今回この記念祭のためにわざわざお越しいただきまして貴重な体験を語っていただきまして本当にありがとうございました。通訳はメルボルンのジャパン・フォー・ピースという平和活動をしている団体のメンバーの松岡ともひろさんでした。ありがとうございました。 次は豪州脱原発協会共同議長のミスター・ピーター・ワッツさんです。よろしくお願いします。
Thank you very much. Kenichiwa. We say good day. Welcome everyone, and sorry Uncle Butch is here not to welcome us, but I appreciate where we are and understand the importance of this gathering. And thanks to the people who supplied the venue, and thanks very much to our Japanese people here who come along to tonight's speaking and sharing his story with us. We need more brave people just like Uncle here that told his story. Thank you. So a very special welcome to our Japanese colleagues here. First of all, I'd like to say how last year in January I visited. I chose purposely not to go to Fukushima because you can appreciate what's going down there. However, I met a crew in Tokyo. And then we went down to Yokohama where I met this good man here from Peace Boat, and I was invited to speak at a uranium, it was a big conference for a nuclear-free powered world, and that's what I'm here about too. Now, this uranium stuff, it's very close to my heart. It's actually affected my family personally, and just like it's affected Uncle Ed, it's actually affected my family directly. Now, for all the people here who live in Australia, because we all call Australia home now, that nearly brought tears to my eyes to listen to this man here talking. Now, if you think it hasn't happened here or it's not going to happen here, guess what? It's already happened here. We've had blasts here in Australia that's actually affected my family. My mother, he killed my grandmother at 34. My brother found it hard to conceive with his woman. My sister had a bone marrow disease. Mum's youngest sister, because she was then still inside old Nana before Nana passed on. My young auntie, she can't have babies now as a direct result of this. I can't prove this, but the proof is in the pudding. Look, Auntie can't make babies now. And as well, my mum's third little baby died at less than a week old, okay? My father was working at Woomera where all these tests were launched, okay? So it's already happened here in Australia. And now, what actually happened there with Brother Boy was then taken by the government and the authorities when this baby died, when Mum was still in hospital, and the baby was taken away never to be seen again. Until 30, 40 years later, Mum was jumping up and down, and we got the remains left, what was remained of my little brother, and it turned out the government done a whole heap of radiation tests on this little brother of mine. So, the government already knows how dangerous this stuff is. They've known for 40, 50 years, people. It's time for us people now to take charge of this, you know. We need to fix this. And right where my country is, we've got the biggest mining company in the world draining our ancestral springs completely almost dry. There was a big one there, nearly as big as this platform here, look. And we used to call it bubbler because it just bubbled out the ground, like flat out all day long, and you could jump in there, nearly spring you back out. You throw a railway big piece of wood in there, sleeper, that'll be jump back out too. But now it's just like now the water that these people are taking, we have no guarantee that all that water still coming up in that country is safe. People need to understand this in Australia, and we claim to be a very responsible country. We have now learnt the Australian Nuclear Free Alliance, which I'm co-chair to. It took us 7 months to find out that the uranium at Fukushima was actually from our country here now, from Roxby Downs. Now, that's everything about that's wrong. You know, we should claim responsibility that and address that, you know. So these people here know what the word Habakisha means. Some of you people would know the word Habakisha. I'm a living, breathing Habakisha, if you like, because I'm ancestrally related to my nana, who was then taken with this stuff here now. So the importance of water, this is what I really want to stress. See how they tell porky lies about how safe this water is. And like Uncle said there before, you can't smell this, you can't see it, you can't taste it in the water. So who are you going to trust? Now, at the moment, we're led by the nose by these big corporations who are out there, and they have more rights to this water. They take 40 million litres of water a day to wash dirt in the middle of the desert. So we could then have a small amount of uranium which ends up in places like Fukushima, these reactors, and then ultimately into weapons. So what I'm saying here, people, is we're not immune to it here in Australia. Okay? This has already happened here in Australia. There's big tracts of Australia where our people now can't go because of the contamination done by the bombs, and it leaves a big scar in the country just like it has back in Fukushima. Do we trust these corporations with our life? You know, we all have the same hopes and aspirations for our young ones. Now, Roxby Downs is a town now, and it's run by BHP. BHP is another big corporation, just like TEPCO, that feeds the people lies and deceit when it comes to uranium. That little baby there crying, look, them little babies back in Fukushima now, in 10, 15 years' time, all them kids are going to be growing up with cancers. However, my people are getting a lot of cancers. These people back in Fukushima, they're going to know exactly where these cancers are coming from. My people didn't have a voice before, okay? It's lucky that there's people like myself too, like brave enough to get up here and talk. Because a lot of our people, they either want to hide in the grass, or they turn a blind eye to this. I would really wish that all these seats here were filled up here tonight. We should be able to go to a big sporting event and tell all them people at them sporting events, you know? I wish that we could have the same enthusiasm, because then we'll go to these big rugby matches, football matches, soccer games. All the people that come through these doors, I'm pretty sure they're the converted already. I don't have to convert all these people here. They've probably got relations back in Japan. Now, the people of New South Wales need to beware, because these corporations are knocking right on your door. They're going to bully their way into this state and start mining this stuff here right on your doorstep. And I love looking at this beautiful, well-watered country. You want to see where I come from? It's barren. It's a dry desert. If you were to pick somewhere to live in Australia, it wouldn't be the Arabana nation, believe me. It'd probably be over in this nice, green, lovely part of the world over here, where it turns out the greater population of Australia is actually all hugging that east coast of Australia. So all I really say is that the people need to take charge, go back and tell all your family, tell your neighbours about this, okay? Don't rest. So what we need to do is take charge now, stop this stuff, okay? The safest place for uranium is in the ground. Thank you.
is actually a non-union town and mine. I understand there's going to be a union representative here tonight. God bless him for coming along, okay? We need the support of unions. However, these corporations, they've got enough. They think they're smart enough to then have these mines run without the unions, because the unions are there for the people, okay? To enlighten the people for the dangers, okay, that goes on in these mines. Roxby, no union. The town, no council. The whole town is just ran by BHP. I have personal testimonies from people who have worked in the hospitals there. They're too scared to come along places like this because they've still got like connections with Roxby. I know family members that are working up at Roxby. I feel for them. Now, the people up there, these testimonies I'm telling you about, they worked in the hospital, and they told me that they had sick people come straight from the mine. They put them on the aeroplane, fly them straight to Adelaide, and they don't return. You can use your imagination what's happened to these people. They're so contaminated, they either die in hospital there. Now, we've actually gone about trying to get some data on these people that worked in their mines. Do you really think the BHP are going to hand over that information so we could give them a quick call and say, how you mob going now? Because a lot of them are going to be very sick or in the ground like them cows up there that we've seen there before. Look, we're all people, eh? You might have fat people, skinny people, but we're all people. Okay? Japanese people, Australian people, we're all people together. And in fact, I care for the non-humans too. Like this countryman here, this brother boy, his wife was crying over them cows. We cry over our country too when our country's hurting, and our animals. In our animal here go dying. But I have concerns for the animals, and the people, and the environment. You know, what type of legacy are we going to leave behind for our children? It really breaks my heart. I don't know how long I've got left up here, but I'm going to keep on talking, okay? Because also, I have also found out that this is how smart the BHP think that we don't find out this information, right? I talk to a lot of people, black, white, Brindle, Chinese, Japanese, everything, anyone, Aborigine, all people, okay? And what they now tell me is that the women that's working up at Roxby or married to the husband working in the mines, when they have a baby now, they're not allowed to have a baby up at Roxby. They've got to go down to Port Pirie. Now, Port Pirie's already got its own set of problems anyway, because it's got the lead smelters there. So all the data for the babies is going to be mixed in with all them people living in there. So, see what I'm saying? See how these people like to just hide all this information now? Now, I wouldn't mind betting you there's one of these people here, probably from BHP, and they're going to bounce back. And I've been to all these BHP AGMs, and you know what? All them people sitting down there like that, they're like sheep. If I told them to jump off the cliff, they probably would. Okay? I should let this fellow here come up here now, so thanks very much. Now look, there's one thing we can't control. We can't control the earthquakes, okay? And the tsunamis. Okay? However, we can control that digging up of the uranium. Okay? Yep. Thanks very much, ladies and gentlemen. Love you all.
Thank you very much to Peter Watts. Next we might have a bit of music to make, so you can listen to some beautiful music while you're thinking about some of those deep and profound thoughts. So could we welcome to the stage, they've come all the way from Melbourne, Natalie Parapa and Carlo Santoni. And they are from the band, the Big Blue King Brown. They're not that band, but they are from that band. So Natalie, would you like to come forward? Woo! Oh, big hand, please. Natalie supports many social justice and environmental campaigns, including the campaign for a nuclear-free future.
Hello. It's such an honor to be here tonight. I was really excited and grateful that I was able to make time and be a part of this. I'd like to acknowledge country, the traditional owners of this land where we are now standing, your nation. Pay my respects to the elders past and present. Also want to give a big shout out to everyone involved in making events like this happen, not just tonight, but every night, wherever they're happening, informing us as a community, and to everyone for coming, for informing yourselves by being here, educating ourselves. It's something that I'm really passionate about. The nuclear cycle and the nuclear issue is such a major threat to human civilization and to the life that we love and we know. And to me, you know, alongside climate change, nuclear proliferation is equally as big a problem. It's been really inspiring to hear Uncle talk, and just want to play a couple of songs from my heart to you guys tonight. Might need to plug in there. My band, Leaking Ground, have been visiting Japan for the past 7 years, and it's a place that we love to visit. It was one of the first international territories that found and clinged on to Leaking Ground, and so we have very strong connections in Japan, and we'll be returning there this May to connect with our brothers and sisters again. Should know it's time to use it. Don't be like the fools they go around and just abuse it. All your thoughts be like open the stories that they tell you. Now you surely understand that the system wants you. Educate the masses and not stand for what is right. And they're creeping up on you in the middle of the night. Gather up their hopes and dreams, they draw them to the sky. Lights it up tonight, but there's gonna be some fine. Yeah. It's the nations, don't multiply your glory. It's the nations, don't multiply your glory. Every day you wake up and you think that you are free. Living in this system, I'm afraid that just can't be. No, they don't even look at you like you're a human being. Just a legal fiction, man, what's spoken their machines. So educate the masses and we'll stand for what is right. So we're creeping up on you in the middle of the night. Gather up our hopes and dreams, we throw them to the sky. Lights it up tonight, 'cause we know that we're alive. Yeah. It's the nations, don't multiply your glory. Hey. And then we invite my friend Carlos Sertoni to come up, who also plays bass in Looking Brown. We're going to play another song, another new song. Please welcome Carlos. With your acapella. So we're also part of a group of musicians, and a growing group of musicians who are actively trying to get our fans to come to a website called nukefreefuture.com. It's an initiative that Carlo and myself have started, and it's basically a website where fans from different bands can come as a starting point to then find their way through into all the amazing organisations that are present here tonight, and all the ones internationally as well, and throughout Australia. It's called nukefreefuture.com, and people can go there and get free music, and there is a growing amount of artists supporting this cause. I think it's becoming a really, it's going to become a mainstream issue, I believe, and it's so great to see all parts of our community getting on board, not just the people who are affected by it firsthand. It's got to be everyone from all corners of our community coming together. And as an artist, I feel that it is a responsibility that I have. And as a global citizen, I really look forward to the day where people become less patriotic about their country and more patriotic about their planet and the health of our planet. There is more to these days than I want you to know, 'cause they're right in the future, they right in the show. Earth they must turn and the trees they must grow. Just beyond that horizon, a mountain of hope. See we go to 3 cities with our stories to tell ya. Reaching out to wanna join us, we'll let ya. To tell the truth, it's kinda hard to forget ya. When one loves the movement, we're all included. Gotta live, gotta run, gotta earn, gotta burn, gotta learn. And it's one rhythm that we're living in. Oh, what good is it if we don't fit in? And my truth is there to keep us real. They're fooling around with your fire. Oh, the thing is hot, but we take it hotter. They'll be knocking on your doors when they can't be sure. But now they know you're not alone, yo. 'Cause in that moment of truth, there must come a decision to sit back and hide. Or we're holding this vision. If we don't, then we're never gonna fly. How could you know if you're never gonna try? There's no reason to die when we're willing to listen. If we screw up this earth, we shall not be forgiven. Lead us joke, but we're running out of time. Seems they don't wanna step up to this line. So come with us, walking from shame to our glory, inspiring our youth to jump in on this journey, desiring to prove that our people are learning to respect the earth as the world is still turning our face with the reason to unite. Hearts pounding in a rhythm, but the time is not. When a promise is made, then it must be delivered. The scene I breathe, we won't see, believe it when they gon' bury guns, make a fuss. And if they're not going to love, not with us. That the world must be hard to overstuff. And you don't know something, but it's not enough. So one day, while you on the telephone, the next day, screaming on the microphone today. Spread the word upon this microphone, it won't be long, our heart is strong. One day, thank you.
Wonderful, reminded me a bit of Bob Marley. It was fantastic. Okay, let's invite our next speaker, who is Tomoko Shine, and she is from Minami-Yosa in Fukushima Prefecture itself. Thank you very much.
My name is Tomoko. This year I will put the English translation only because I think the Japanese community is the one I really want to send a message to. So for various reasons, and especially for those who haven't seriously thought about it. And so please be patient if you're knowledgeable Japanese. 明日で2011年3月11日、東北及び北関東大震災も3年目を迎えます。昨年もこの壇上で皆様に地元の声を少しでもと私のスピーチを聞いていただきました。震災後、私は実家には戻っておりません。私の実家は福島県南相馬原町区というところで、現在も事故が進行中の福島第一原子力発電所から25キロ圏内にあります。先ほどお話があった飯舘村はちょうど上流にあたります。で、震災後、確か3号機が爆発してからだったと記憶していますが、上の弟が両親を連れて、当時下の弟が住んでいた福島市へ数ヶ月避難しておりました。現在は両親、そして弟2人とも南相馬の実家に戻って暮らしております。それから、私には旧警戒区域といって、福島第一原子力発電所から20キロ圏内、英語でいうところのエクスクルージョンゾーンで酪農を営んでいたおじとおばとそしていとこがおります。ですから先ほどの長谷川さんのお話、それから写真もありましたけれども、私もすでに当時に見ていただいて、本当にすごくでは全くない。そしてまた、この地元の長谷川さんの方が移住を簡単に決めるべきではないとおっしゃっていることに非常に感銘を受けました。ありがとうございます。で、私のおじとおばというところなんですけど、彼らは一度相馬市の北の方ですね、森林のところに避難して、その後東京の親戚宅に行かれていましたが、現在はいわき市、福島原発からの南の方なんですけど、そこにアパートを借りて住んでいます。大量にばらまかれて、そ して今でも放出されている放射性物質セシウム137の半減期が30年であることを考えると、そして半減期が29年のストロンチウム90や半減期が2万6000年というプルトニウムがばらまかれたにもかかわらず、きちんとした調査と対策が行われていない現状を考えると、もう私たちが生きている間に子どもたちを連れて帰ることはないと、私は覚悟せざるを得ませんでした。母にそれを伝えると、そうだね、と涙をこらえながら言ってくれました。電話の向こうで私の言葉によってどれだけ傷つけてしまったか、想像するよしもありませんでした。その間に私は、せめてこれから10年、お互いがまだ生きているとして、元気に生きているとして、その間、1年か2年に一遍でも、1週間でいいから、じじばば、そして孫もみんな一緒に安心して過ごせる場所を日本で探していこうと決心しました。お母さん、もしさ、原発事故がなかったとしてもさ、あと10年元気になれたらラッキーだよね。だから頑張って一緒の時間作ろうよ。私はそう言いました。そうだな、理解してくれたのか。諦めてしまってるけど、うるさい娘の言うことだからと言っていこうと思っていたのか分かりませんが、母はその時そう言ってくれました。昨年の9月に10日間ほど母と警戒区に住んでいたいとこと、東京からおばの一人がシドニーに来てくれて、私の子供たちを夫も一緒に過ごすことができました。年だから10時間の飛行機はつらいよなどと言いながら、シドニーにその着いた朝に、ホテルの前のハイドパークで孫たちと思わず一緒に走り出しながら、今の福島ではもうこんな風に何も気にしないで走り回れるとこなんてないからなぁと嬉しそうに話す母を見て、私は本当に胸が締め付けられるようでした。年寄りだから、もう他のところには行きたくねえ。避難を進めたときに、母からそう言われて、私は何とも言えませんでしたし、また友人知人に、全くの善意なんですけれども、こう言われていました。あなたはまだ若くて、もともと自分から移住してきた人だからいいけど、ご両親は違うでしょう。お年を召していることだし、これ以上の避難なんて無理だよ。むしろかわいそうだよ。でも、放射能の汚染の深刻さを初めから受け止めていた私は本当はこう言うべきだったんです。例えば、大津波が来たら、目の前の色やがどんなに年寄りでどんなに体が不自由だったとしても、何とかして連れて逃げようとするでしょ。ほっときませんよね。放射能は見えないから、即死するほどではないから、あの地にそのまま置いておいた方がいい。そういうんですか。年寄りだから、あまり放射線の影響を受けることがないなんて、全く政府と東電の都合のいいことを国民が何の疑問を持たずに信じてしまっている。実際、心筋梗塞で亡くなっている方もたくさんいらっしゃる。でも、がんがないから、今のところ政府によっては認められないんです。福島県をはじめ、関東地方も含めた深刻な汚染状況を知ってか、あるいは知らないまま、国民の大半が、2年がもう過ぎようとしています。でも、じゃあ、私ごときが一体何ができるんでしょうか。一人一人が変わっていくチャンスだなんて言う人もいましたけれども、私がこんなに変わっても何にも変わらないじゃないですか。いまだに原子力発電所は、あるところの自治体には悪いけど、そして作業してくれる人には悪いけど、日本のエネルギー源として必要なんだよね。福島に同行してくれてても、心の中に実はそう思っている国民が大半ではありませんか。私一人がネットで情報を収集して、友人知人にまとめて流しても、放射能、この脳は脳みそで、脳みそがもう放射能のコースでいかれてる、ノイローゼになってるっていう意味です。放射能とか信頼されなくなるからやめた方がいいとか、そう思っている人たちしか現実にはいないような気がしませんか。だから、私も含めてですけれども、福島の人間はだんだんと口をつぐんでしまってきているのだと思います。私なら地位も肩書きも持たない、知名度も何にもない自分が騒いでも仕方がないし、道はおかしいんじゃないのと思われてしまうのはオチですよね。でも、やはりそれではいけないと気づきました。あるサイトで、秋田県に避難なさっているお母さん、全く普通のお母さんが泣きながらこうおっしゃっているのを聞いたんです。 震災後、いろいろ自分なりに調べて、放射能の影響をきちんとして現実を受け止めなければいけないと思っている。そして思い切って避難をしてきた。でも周りは全く相手にしてくれない。自分は専門家じゃないから誰も自分の言うことを信用してくれない。それがものすごく辛くてどうしたらいいかわからないんです。専門家として社会的地位を得られるのは、例えば飯舘村にいらっしゃった国の山下教授とかですね、そういう方々が社会的地位を得られるというのは、私たちにとって一番大切な命というものを第一に考えているかどうか、そしてそれを行動に移しているかだと思います。命を第一に考えることのない専門家や、そんな専門家を鵜呑みにして、一般市民の放射能汚染に関する懸念を馬鹿にする、そんな人たちに心を痛めてしまっている。このお母さんの嘆きを聞いたときに、私ごときが諦めるべきではないと思ったんです。私には家族が原子力発電所から25キロのところに住んでいる。次にもしまた震度6の地震が来るか、津波が来たら間違いなく終わりです。震災当時福島にいた友人もいて、お子さんが今3歳で心配しているけれど、旦那さんの理解がないと言って嘆いている友人がいます。3年後に福島市に戻るそうです。それから昨年あったいとこが今女性の手伝いを1日たった2000円でしていると言っていたので、私はこう言いました。お兄ちゃん、女性っていうのはボランティアにやる仕事じゃないよ。プロがやる仕事だよ。そうすると、いとこがうんうんとうなずいて、そうなんだけどもな、国や県なんか待ってても何も起きねえんだよ。俺たちはなんかしたい。移住が必要っていうなら、その話し合いでも何でも、とにかくなんかしたい。でもあれから何にも起きてないんだよ。こうして働き者の私のいとこは、そしてその大勢の働き者の仲間たちが毎日いらぬ被爆をさせられているんです。私にとってはこれが現実です。きつい言い方ですけど、あなた方にとっては誰かから聞いた話というけど弱るかもしれませんが、皆さん、福島第一原子力発電所はいまだに毎時間1000万ベクレルの放射能を放出しています。汚染水はもう台風や大雨が来るために実はダダ漏れなんですけれども、地上のタンクがもういっぱいだから海に垂れ流そうと政府と東電は考えております。そしてそこで必死に作業をなさっている方々が、命と引き換えに何とか事故を収束させようとしている方々が、東電の生き残りのために危険手当が減らされていたり、お弁当代や従業費が自前にさせられているという事実があるんです。信じられます？それから食品の内部被害に関して私の友人も含めてですけど、あまり気にしてないような方がいるので、特に関東地方の人ですけれども、震災前は放射性廃棄物としてそれ相当の処理をなされて廃棄されるべきだった値が今、日本政府の食品の流通基準となっております。1キロ100ベクレル以下のものは流通してもよい、食べてもよいということですが、この1キロ100ベクレルというのは、震災前は廃棄物レベルであったんです。なんで震災前は廃棄物レベルであったのが、震災後は急に食べても大丈夫になったんでしょうか。これを絶対忘れないでいきましょう。ちょっと話が地元の言動というところから離れてしまいましたが、じゃあまた戻って、たまたま地元が福島第一原発事故の影響を受けているというだけの一個人の私が、なぜこんなことをこの場であえて言わせていただいているかというと、2年経って、そしてこれでもこうしてここに来てくださって、一緒にこの記念祭に参加なさっている皆さんに、私は暗闇の中の日常の光を見るからです。一緒に自分のスタンスを持って頑張っていきましょう。最後にこれ東京新聞という日本の大手の新聞の中で少しはまともな原発報道しているところなんですけど、東京新聞に事故当時沖縄の石垣島に長男の7歳にある長男を連れて避難なさっていた川田真知さんの短歌がありましたので、それを紹介していただきます。子を連れて西へ西へと逃げてゆく愚かなハートにならばいい。雨が carrying to the west to the west, to the west. If any people want to call me Surunoda, I will let you if they want to. ありがとうございました。
Thank you very much for that speech. I must admit I didn't understand all of it, but I can see how emotional it was. And we appreciate you coming from Fukushima. Well, you're from Fukushima Prefecture, so thank you very much. We will go to some music now, music called Gagaku. The term Gagaku literally means elegant music. It refers to music that dates back over 1,000 years. It's an ancient form of music that was used in the courts, the aristocratic societies, shrines and temples. It involves using some original instruments. In this case, we're going to hear a demonstration and give you a pause for thought and to think about some of the things that are being said today. And then we'll come back with some more speech. Thank you very much. So this is some Gagaku music. very soothing, I found, I must admit. That was the Kitano Dai Gagaku Orchestra, which was founded in June 1982. One interesting fact is that the orchestra was given lessons by Mr. Fumitana Taka Tori, who is formerly a director of the music department at the Imperial Household. So we have some real celebrities in tonight. If you look on the website, you can find out more about this music. It's called Gagaku, and there is a website which is Kitano Dai Gagaku Ensemble.web. Okay, next up we are going to have a bit more thought from the Australian perspective. So I'd like to welcome to the stage Uncle Dooch. And Uncle Dooch Kennedy is the chairman of the Illawarra Local Aboriginal Land Council and part of the Australian Nuclear Free Alliance. Big hand for Dooch Kennedy. Uncle Dooch Kennedy. Thank you.
I knew you would do that to wake up. That was amazing music. Put me to sleep, really. Very quickly, Yolanga Miriel Daramula, Tiaya, Nuru, No Kujaka, Tiaya, Lugadu, No Yunkuri, Tiaya, Loramo, Yolanga Gulia. Welcome to All Father Sky, All Father Creator. I see my land, I see my children, I see my waters, I see my people, I see my sky. Welcome to Mother Earth. An even more heartfelt welcome to our guests from Fukushima and to the Japanese people here today, our Asian brothers and sisters. When I look at Australia, we are not European, we are not American. We live in the Asia Pacific. And we've had a long relationship with our Asian brothers and sisters for many thousands of years before the British, the Portuguese, the Dutch, the French, and the more recent Americans arrived on our shores. And when we look at ancient cultures, such as those in the Asian Pacific, we are looking at a very unique race of people. Their knowledge of plants, their knowledge of animals, their deep spiritual connection to Mother itself, their deep understanding of even water and how important water is in our lives. It is more precious than gold. It is more precious than diamonds. And what little we have on this planet that is clean, that is uncontaminated, is mining companies across the globe, big businesses, multinational conglomerates that are tearing Mother Earth apart. We see that with climate change. Mother Earth screaming
saying, "Why are you doing this to me?" Sometimes we need to have history lessons. 225 years of occupation from an alien force in this country has seen more than half of our trees torn down. Since 1863, the area where I come from, the Illawarra, has been mined extensively for black diamond, what we know as coal, under some of the most significant clean waterways in the state of New South Wales. 10 in fact that feed in excess of 7 million people. When we play with substances such as uranium, when we look at exploring coal seam gas, existing mining practices all over this globe, look at the disasters, look at the number of deaths in coal mining alone, look at what happened with BP in the Gulf of Mexico, with a massive oil spillage that done a lot of damage to the environment, both the natural fish, bird life habitats. You think we would have learned from Maralinga what occurred in our own country, in South Australia? The impact on the Arabanamore, Yumorba, what they done to these people. Then look at what occurred with Nagasaki and Hiroshima. Is that not a lesson to the world of how dangerous this substance is? Then we had Chernobyl, and more recently, 2 years ago, what we seen in Fukushima. Here in Sydney, we have one nuclear reactor to the south of us, not even 20 kilometres from here. They produce medicine, but they also contain a lot of waste. And soon they want to move this waste onto tribal land in the Northern Territory, onto land that is not unsung land. When I talk about land, when we talk about song lines, because that's our stories, that says this is our boundaries, this is where family met. We know there's gold in the ground. We know there's coal in the ground. We know there's uranium in the ground. A lot of these in our stories are our ancestral beings from the creation time. But we seem to be seen as the unintelligent. We're the lowest on the human chain, according to white supremacists out there. Yet we are the ones that have cared for the earth since the dawn of time. So we must be the only earthlings around, is us from the Asia-Pacific region. Look at where God comes from. I've never heard any story where God comes from the West. God comes from the East. That's our connection to not just the stars, but it connects us to the mother. When you respect the mother returns that with her abundance of fruit. and fish and birds and other animals that we eat. Forgive me to all the vegetarians out there. But we were strong vegetarians too. Some of our berries contain up to 90% more than a simple orange. So blackfellas, when they eat from the bush, they run around full of energy. Because we won with nature. But my story, I think, is my concern is, we have a government says we're only going to have 3 uranium mines. Now they want to build 18. We have over 40% of the world's uranium stock is in Australia. And that alarms me. We say we're not going to sell uranium to countries that don't sign the nuclear-free non-proliferation agreement. And what do we do this year? We do a backflip and we start selling uranium to India. When we look at where uranium has gone, look at Chernobyl. Is it not clear evidence of the disasters when the reactor melts down? Look at Fukushima. This is more recent history. And we have people from Japan here to make us aware of the impact of that. Now, when governments want to play with people's lives, it's up to us as people to vote them out of office. But it's raising the awareness is the hardest side. Everybody says, oh, it's too hard. It takes resources, it takes money. What it takes is humans coming together for one cause. Had we seen when Australia was campaigning to go to Afghanistan, when they were after Bin Laden, I've never seen so many people come out against war, anti-war. The streets here were packed with thousands of people that did not want to see that war occur. That happened in the 60s also. It comes back to people. It comes back to, I think, morals, ethics, and conscience. When we've seen corrupt governments constantly, especially in this country, since we were born here. It's the amount of damage that one person can do, where he caused race riots amongst the Islamic people in Cronulla, where he took many resources from Aboriginal people, and then blamed us for the state and condition of our settlements, not only in New South Wales, but all around Australia. It's amazing how the media panders to the rich, to your Kerry Packers, to your Rupert Murdochs. The truth never gets out there. So I came here today because I understand, I feel your pain, because 225 years later, since the white man arrived on my shores, and I can call it my shores, because no one had a treaty with me or my family. I have suffered generational trauma. All the pain of my grandmother, my great-grandmother, my mother, my sisters and my children, I bear. Not my fault that I'm born of this country. But now we have an act of recognition. I like those words, because it means now, whenever anyone wants to give me any grief, I say you're required by a new act to recognise me. So let's talk about it in a sensible way. Let's look at uranium. People sold down here at Roxby Downs and up here at Ranger were walking around with badges that only read Gamma rays. Those badges do not read alpha rays, which are common and come from the gas and the rocks, the refuse that's left over. And only a few years ago, we had a major dust storm here in Sydney. That red dust came straight off of Roxby Down. What that says is that the whole area from Beverley right through to Sydney is contaminated with alpha rays. It's there. And we only need the future to tell that when we start seeing clusters of cancers popping up in regions. And we've seen cluster groups to the south of us, in Engadine, in Helensburgh, and some suspect that it's nothing to do with the Nuclear Heights reactor. They admitted only recently that there were leakages down there, and yet the general public was not made aware of that. People swim in the riverways behind this reactor. The education in this country to the impact of uranium is just the only people who are really raising that awareness is ANFA itself. It's through the Australian Nuclear Alliance and its colleagues and that all around the country. The same with coal seam gas. On that they had a victory just recently, but that come from community. When community stands up, what we had there now was 3,000 people formed a human sign at the Bullow Showground. And several months before that, 3,000 people formed a human sign to say we don't want coal seam gas in our area. Uranium is a much more dangerous substance that we're dealing with. It has tens of thousands of years life, and it can contaminate the planet, and we're talking about a greener future. So, all I can offer is our support.
Thank you very much, Daniel. That's a shame. But that was raised quite a few issues, of course. Let's move on to, I'd like to introduce our next guest, Akira Kawasaki from the Peace Boat International. So, Akira is on the executive committee and a member of the Tokyo-based NGO Peace Boat and co-chair of the international campaign to abolish nuclear weapons. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's my good pleasure to be here with you, and to thank Hilana-san, Yukio-san, and other organizers for inviting me and providing us such a wonderful opportunity this evening. And it's great to see many Japanese faces here. And also, I want to acknowledge the traditional owner of this land. And this evening, let me share with you some of the aspects that people of Japan is thinking as lessons from the disaster, an ongoing nuclear disaster, I have to say. And today's event title. It's written here in a very beautiful Japanese letters. It says that second anniversary of rebuilding from the disaster. But as we learned from the previous speeches, yes, rebuilding process has started for those who have suffered from tsunami. But the people who are suffering from nuclear disaster, the process for rebuilding has not yet started. Rather, they are still in the middle of ongoing disaster, in a very serious trauma. But still, people are learning many things and trying to make some differences. Let me point out very briefly some of the key lessons that we have learned from this. The first, we learned that nuclear power plants or nuclear industry is not for the sake of the local people. In Japan, there are more than 50 reactors, and it has been built as the government and the industry saying, hey, this is a very important plant, it will provide good things for you people, so why don't you accept with this big money or subsidies? That's been the logic for that. But once this accident happened, it turned out, it's not all those facilities were not for the local people. The people are suffering, and there's no sufficient compensation or even sufficient provision of information. And people learned that from the beginning that those electricity were for the sake of people in Tokyo, not for the local people of Fukushima. The name of TEPCO is Tokyo Electric Company, right? So that is why the people are now thinking some alternative way to go in terms of how to deal with energy in Japan and in future. And the second important lesson is that this accident was a man-made disaster, as identified by the National Diet Investigation Commission, which issued a report last July. It clearly stated this was a man-made disaster, and it pointed at various problems hidden inside TEPCO or the government in the process lead up to this accident, and also even after the occurrence of the accident, many key things were hidden intentionally, and it promoted the damage worse and worse. And also, it was made clear that the existence of nuclear village, so to say, a small circle of nuclear industry, or the government, or affiliated or embedded experts who are really irresponsible and very much close and accountable to the people. So we are now talking about how to change this structural problem. But at the same time, third very important lesson we learned, it's a very positive side, is that we can change this energy structure. Because both in 2011 and 2012, Japan as a whole was successful in reducing the consumption of electricity by about between 10 to 15%, including hottest summer seasons. So we learned how much degree that we have wasted our energy. So of course, the important thing is that how to subsidize the loss of generation of electricity by the shutdown of nuclear power plants. But the more fundamental issue is how we can reduce the consumption. And it's feasible and doable, and we are learning about that. At the same time, the government has taken the policy to provide assistance and investment for the renewable energy sources. So it's really promising. Of course, it takes some time, but people are more and more convinced that we can do without relying on nuclear power. And still today, more than 70% of the population is supportive of the idea of phase out of nuclear power. And the fourth, last point, is that the role of local community is very, very significant. As I stated at the beginning, nuclear power plants are not for the sake of the local people. They are for the sake of Tokyo, or the government, or big industry. So the alternative will come from the local. The growth of renewable energy. The key is the local ownership. The mayors and the local-based small-sized industry can make a difference by building new renewable projects. And also, the local governors, leaders can have power to stop the restarting of nuclear power plants. And they are doing so. And last year, in April 2012, a mayors group named Mayors for Nuclear Power Free Japan was formed. And it's really expanding and increasing. More than 80, nearly 100 mayors have joined in this coalition and working very seriously and very actively. So finally, I want to conclude to say that the Australia and Japan have a lot of common challenges and also potentials to work together. And I know that Australia has really advanced renewable energy projects, companies, and initiatives. And we really want to learn from that. And also, we already hear from serious running problems from this land. And we learned about the connection of this mining and exporting uranium and how it is used, and how it is causing problems in Fukushima or in many other parts of the world. So it means that if we work together, if we exchange information between each other, then we can make a difference. So you Australian people, please use the information and facts and data in Japan. This is the result, this is the effects of the uranium. And at the same time, we Japanese people can learn from you where these products or materials are coming from. And in the original point, the people are suffering of the contamination, the water problem, and everything. So if we learn together, we can learn that this is a global problem, and as global citizens, we can change this together. Thank you very much.
長谷川先生大学東京の方からこの記念祭の出席の参加のためにわざわざ東京からお越しくださいましたピースボート、NPO 団体の川崎あきらさんでした。ありがとうございました。今震災を今回被災に遭った方のために、浄土真宗のご住職であります渡辺さんから1分間の黙祷を捧げたいと思います。皆さんよろしくお願いします。
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for gathering together this evening for this memorial service. First of all, I'd like to express my deepest sympathy to victims of the Japan earthquake that struck on 11th March 2011, and I'd like to extend my sincerest condolence once again to those who have lost their precious lives and to the families who have lost their loved ones in this tragic disaster. Words cannot express the great deal of anxiety and sadness that the many evacuees and the friends and families of those who are still missing must feel. It is my hope that those who survive this disaster will keep their hope to continue their daily lives. More than 750 years ago, Shinan, who is the founder of our Japanese Buddhist school, Nyodo Shinshu said, "May peace and tranquility prevail throughout the world." In accordance with his wishes, let us hope that people of the area affected by this earthquake will keep their strong will to live and re-establish their own homes. And may we all continue to remember the pain and sadness of all the victims. Now I'd like to chant the sutra. Thereafter the sutra, please join me in the 1-minute silent meditation. 黙祷。
Thank you very much to this non-Watanabe-san. I'd like to invite to the stage, thank you everyone for waiting patiently, I'd like to invite Mark Lennon, who is the Secretary of Unions New South Wales. Many affiliate unions have signed the New South Wales Uranium Free Charter, and Unions New South Wales supported a delegation of unions to travel to Japan last year to visit the affected area. So I'll leave you with Mark Lennon. Thank you very much.
I think we've, thank you very much for the introduction. I think we've found tonight many times, I think over the last 20 or 30 years, across the world, various different circumstances, we've seen a failure of leadership, be it at a political, a bureaucratic, or a corporate level. And of course, mainly when there's been a failure of leadership, the consequences have been dire. But in these circumstances, what happened in Fukushima was worse than dire. They've been fatal. And we finally we have seen, of course, the continuing trauma we heard tonight from Mr. Hasegwa, and I thank you for your address tonight about the ongoing trauma in his community. And of course, when there's the failure of leadership, circumstances such as this, tragic circumstances such as this, who suffers most? But always, who comes forward to rebuild? Working people. Wherever we are around the world, be it here in Sydney, across Australia, or of course in Japan. And we have very close links, as you just heard, with our fellow workers in Japan through the Japanese trade union movement and our fraternal relations with Radio Tokyo. And my colleague Genevieve Kelly is here tonight, travelled there last year, you've heard, and saw the devastation. So there's hope. There is hope because we as working people around the world will always come together in these circumstances to ensure there is a brighter future for those who have been affected. That someday maybe Mr. Hasegwa can return. He and his fellow villagers can return to their village. And as we just heard from Mr. Kawasaki, there's also hope for us as working people around the world, as communities, to find a brighter future when it comes to sources of energy. That we all have creative ideas about how we might have renewable sources or provide renewable sources of energy going forward. And I think that's the message we have to take away collectively from tonight, including the issue about a nuclear-free world. It's also about a world that can provide energy, so we can progress, so we can develop, so people can have opportunities, so the children we've seen running around here tonight still have the same opportunities that we've had, but with safe, renewable energy. And the way we do that, as I say, as we've always done as voices of people, it's come together across international boundaries, work as a collective, and ensure that we can make a better world that is safe from the dangers of nuclear energy. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much, Mark Lennon, Unions New South Wales Secretary. I'd also like to invite to the stage Rob McNeil. The gentleman sitting over there is not trying to keep an eye on you, he's actually part of the presentation and the ceremony. And he is actually the task force leader of Australian Urban Rescue Team. Rob McNeil went to Miyagi to see the devastated area in Fukushima. So he has actually been himself. I hand you over to Rob.
Thank you, Rob. I really just came to tell my story, and it's not so much about nuclear radiation, it's more, and nuclear energy, it's more about the rescue effort that we did in Japan. I was lucky enough to be bestowed with the responsibility of leading the Australian search and rescue team, and we left for Japan, and we started to pack up our 20 tonnes of equipment with 76 personnel on the Saturday after the Friday the 11th of March 2011, and we headed off over to Dakota Air Force Base. That's commenced a journey which was going to unravel some of the most devastation that our team would ever see. So we spent 10 days all up in that journey. We ended up in a place called Minamai Sanriku, and we searched the areas of Rikusen, Togura and Shizugawa with the Japanese search and rescue teams. And that was one of the times where I really did realise that emergency services personnel, it doesn't matter where they come from or what languages they speak, they're all there for the same mission, and that mission is to give help to people in dire need. And you don't really need to be able to have the same cultures, speak the same language, because we work together. We didn't rescue anyone. There was no one really to be rescued. There were people to be helped. And if people ask me the most valuable thing we did in that journey, and you think it was a very expensive journey. It was 76 highly trained people, doctors, paramedics, 20 tonne of equipment. We're highly trained. We can cut down through buildings and take people out, and we can take them out. And we got the only survivor out of the Christchurch earthquake, and it's really just to be there. The fact that we were there with the Japanese and we stayed until they asked us to leave, and they knew they weren't on their own. They were with the rest of the world in their recovery. So that was the most valuable thing when I reflect on our trip, and there's a big lesson in that. There's a lesson in it for all of us. None of us like wars. When we work together, and we work together for the right reasons, and that was for humanitarian aid to the Japanese people in their time of dire straits, I don't think we can go wrong. And in regards to nuclear power, my experiences, and I've seen too many disasters to really want to see any more, we're far better off to prevent than prepare for or respond to any sort of disaster. So, and I forgot to pay my respects to the traditional owners of the land, and so I'm sorry about that, the Gagaku people. I think that's where I come from anyway. And so, we didn't actually rescue anyone. We recovered a lot of bodies, but we were there with the Japanese people. Now, I've been back there 3 times since. I've done some work with the Meat and Livestock Association of Australia to raise some money. And very proud now in the place up in Minamai Sanriku, there is now a place called Koala House. Koala House is a library, because one of the things in my reflection of this disaster has been that the stories never got told from generation to generation on the disasters of tsunami. And people kept building closer and closer to the water, and emergency plans and evacuation plans for tsunami weren't adhered to, because people didn't practice them. So when the tsunami did come, they were very well practiced for earthquakes and very well prepared. People actually came down to the water's edge because they believed that the engineered baffles that were going to stop the tsunamis would stop the tsunamis, and this one was bigger than ever. And unfortunately, in the town we were, there was a population of 17,000 people. When we got there was 10,000 people missing. And it was just something that we believe those stories needed to go down from generation to generation, and they needed to be strong. So we built the library, and hopefully the stories will be there forever. So thank you.
of Sydney.
Thank you very much. Thank you. You know, I have in my office a little all the memorabilia from Japan, and it's growing. It's funny the relationship that it does build, and how rewarding it is. If we can all move together as one in humanitarian aid to each other, we'll be far better off. Thank you.
Thank you very much for Rob McNeil, and I must admit that was very heartwarming. We have heard some very interesting perspectives today. We have heard from people from Fukushima. We have heard from people who are actually living day to day with the effects of radiation. And we have heard from the Australian perspective as well. We have heard positive thoughts on how we might address the situation. I would like to leave closing comments to Nat Wasley from the New South Wales Uranium Free Campaign. I'd like to welcome to the stage. I'd just like to say thank you very much for bearing with our schedule. It did run over, but in return we will say there are refreshments and food outside shortly. Please welcome Nat Wasley to the stage.
Thank you very much. And again, thank you everyone for staying. I'd like to start by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land and that sovereignty over this land is never ceded. And that's really important because so many people, of course, were displaced when colonisation happened in this country. And so many people continue to be displaced around the world from the nuclear industry, from uranium exploration and mining, right through to proposed nuclear waste dumps, and of course areas that are rendered permanently uninhabitable from nuclear bombs and from explosions like we saw at Fukushima. My family has links with Kiev in Ukraine, right near where the Chernobyl accident happened. So from a very young age I've been aware of the effects of this displacement. And travelling around Australia meeting Peter and his family, Uncle Kevin Buzzicott, the Cougars and other people, and learning about the ongoing displacement, health, intergenerational effects and trauma that's happened from this industry, I'm determined, as are many of you here today, to continue to fight until the nuclear industry is stopped. It displaces people at every stage of the chain, whether it's fencing off a sacred site for a uranium mine, or, as I said, rendering an area permanently uninhabitable. And with somewhere like Fukushima, we may never know. In 2004, I visited Fukushima and stood outside the reactor as part of the International Peace Pilgrimage Walk, where we walked from Olympic Dam uranium mine to Canberra, and then from Hakodate in the North Island of Japan to Hiroshima and Nagasaki, visiting almost every nuclear facility in Japan along the way. There was a typhoon the day we stood outside Fukushima. I remember the mud we tramped through the building when we walked inside. We met the community there and they told us stories of their grave fears of earthquakes, of tsunamis. And looking back at the footage we took in our meeting with that community, it's chilling, absolutely chilling, because everything they said came true. When we walked there, we carried objects from the Kubikiti Kunda Judah who suffered from the nuclear bombs right through the uranium mine and proposed nuclear waste dump. And the connection then was stark. They talked about how uranium from their country was present in the Tokaimura accident at the reprocessing facility. And now again, those connections are even more pronounced with the fact we know that the Australian government has admitted and acknowledged that uranium from Australia was present in all of the Fukushima nuclear reactors that melted down. We are connected. Government policy targets people in remote areas, Indigenous communities, people they consider politically disenfranchised, but radiation doesn't discriminate. Radiation can reach out and touch everyone. And so that's what we need to do. We need to build this movement. There are so many ways to do that. We can go away and tell one person the stories that you've heard here tonight and the impact that that's had on you. You can look after someone's children when they're organising a forum or speaking at an event. You can organise more events like this for your community that's not here tonight for whatever reason, and take this message to them and share it with them. We can build a movement against uranium mining, and we have to. In New South Wales, the government's recently overturned a 26-year bipartisan moratorium on uranium exploration and mining, explicitly saying that they want uranium currently under the ground in New South Wales to be sold to India. And as Dutch explained, India hasn't signed the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. Well, the United States have, and they're not adhering to it either. So what we need to do is stop selling uranium to any country, any country that has a nuclear program, because it's a slippery slope. And what we need, as Akira put it so well, is we need a decentralised, renewable energy system that will provide jobs for people in remote and regional areas that are long-term, that are safe and are sustainable. The movement we build will be diverse, it will be exciting and it will nurture people. We have a lot more fun with the nuclear lobby advocates in the events we organise and the movement that we build. So I think we need to really reach out as far as we can. And I'm really, really happy to see some people I just met at lunchtime today made the effort to come along to this forum. So it just takes that one conversation for people to get involved. We have contact lists out there and we meet every second week for the Uranium Free New South Wales campaign. We really encourage you to come along, and if you can't make the meetings, then please get in touch with us and we can think of other ways that we can work together. We've developed the Uranium Free New South Wales Charter, which has been signed on to many different trade unions and organisations. Please take that to your workplace, take it to your union and ask if they can sign on to and speak to your colleagues about why it's so important. We're about people, not money. We're about people, not poison, and it's the people power that's going to stop the poison happening here in Australia and happening overseas. We have a direct connection. Leave it in the ground, as Peter said. It's that simple. I really want to thank the National Tertiary Education Union for their support, the Teachers Federation for providing the venue, unions in South Wales, and of course all the people who put so much effort into organising this forum. We really couldn't have done it without a range of organisations who put their support behind us today, so thank you. So once again, please sign on to the contact list before you go. And it is my absolute pleasure to introduce our final performance for the evening. We have what I call indoor, Taiko, and JCS, Japan Club of Sydney, Soran, Odori Tai, to close the event. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You want to say something? No? さっき間違っちゃったカメラのあれをね、違うカメラに切り替える。ちょっと間違っちゃった。顔をちょっとしまった。自分の間違っちゃった。こんな感じではいいです。Music.
Oh, that would look very good.
What's that music?
Yo.
始まりましたね。ソーラングループ。女の子。ほら、かわいい。よっこいしょ。よっこいしょ。よっこいしょ。